Now the latest from ITV News Meridian in the south.
Hello, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines. Police reveal it was a nerve agent that caused a Russian spy and his daughter to become critically ill in Salisbury, and that a police officer is also now seriously ill in hospital.
New footage emerges of Sergei Skripal buying a scratch card in a local store. The owner says he was a regular customer.
Very nice person, like grandfather.
Also tonight, a fairer deal if you buy seats to a show from a secondary ticket site. Strict new guidelines for the 4 main online sellers.
And Bradley's legacy, how the 6-year-old story has touched the hearts of football fans around the globe. Good evening. In the last hour, police investigating the suspected poisoning of a Russian spy and his daughter have said they're treating it as attempted murder. They say they were specifically targeted and the substance is believed to have been a nerve agent.
They have also revealed this evening that a police officer is now also in a serious condition in hospital. 66-year-old Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia remain critically ill.
Well, let's go live there now to Kerry Swain, who's been following today's developments. Kerry, what more can you tell us about the update from police today?
Well, Fred, as you say, within the past half an hour, the Metropolitan Police in London have issued a detailed statement. What we know so far is that the couple were targeted with a nerve agent, although the police won't say exactly what type of substance was used. But despite this, there's no evidence, they say, of a widespread health risk to the public. Hundreds of police officers, scientists and analysts are now working on the case, and this case is now being treated as attempted murder.
I can also confirm that we believe the 2 people originally who became unwell were targeted specifically. Our role now, of course, is to establish who is behind this and why they carried out this act. To that end, we have hundreds of detectives, forensic specialists, analysts and intelligence officers working together around the clock on the case.
Dramatic events in London. Here in Salisbury, it's been another tense and difficult day with much of the city cordoned off and a large police presence. Sudden drama in Salisbury. Sirens, ambulances and fire engines blocking the street. The focus of this emergency, a small office block next to the Italian restaurant which has already been closed by the police. A woman guided into an ambulance, followed by another.
Really scary because you don't know what's going on, you don't know who's next, you don't know what's caused it to start with, you don't know what's coming, you don't know what's around the corner.
But it does seem to be affecting the community because I've just been to try and shop in the Maltings and it's closed, of course.
Well, it's just a bit worrying because, like I say, there's hundreds of people here gathering around just trying to see what's going on. You think, oh, is there something in the air? Who knows?
These CCTV pictures show the former Russian spy Sergei Skripal only 5 days before his sudden collapse, buying milk, a baguette and a lottery ticket. The owner of the corner shop still has his most recent winning ticket, just £4. She was about to order Russian food for him.
Very nice person, like grandfather, always smiles and very polite, very nice customer. When I see, on the newspaper what happened, I really feel very sorry for him.
Sergei Skripal joined this small social club in November, a safe space for a quiet man few remember.
There's a certain element of shock, there's a certain element of surprise that something like this could happen in a sleepy little place like Salisbury.
The bench where Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were found collapsed is still covered. Information is emerging about their movements on Sunday. They left his house in Salisbury at 1 and went to Zizi's to eat. Between 2:15 and 2:30 they left and walked to the nearby Mill pub. Both places remain shut, the centre of investigations. There's a lucky horseshoe on the Skripal house in Salisbury, but this family has known nothing but tragedy in recent years. Mr Skripal's wife, brother and son have all died. His son's sudden death in Russia last year considered suspicious. Well, Sergei and Yulia Skripal and a police officer who was first on the scene remained critically ill in hospital this evening. Police are appealing to the public for help. They'd like to hear from anybody who has footage in Salisbury town centre on Sunday, and specifically they want to hear from anybody who was in Zizi's Italian restaurant or the Mill pub.
Kerry Swain in Salisbury, thank you.
And our reporter David Wood is at Westminster for us now. David, what more can you tell us about the Cobra meeting held today?
Sangeeta, I think it shows just how seriously the government wants to be seen to be taking what happened in Salisbury over the weekend and the investigations that have happened after it. The Cobra emergency meeting, it's actually named after the room they meet in. These sort of meetings are only held after major events like terrorist attacks and flooding, for example. It was chaired by the Home Secretary Amber Rudd, but other senior ministers were there, including the Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, the Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson, and crucially also the Health and Social Care Secretary Jeremy Hunt, because of the potential public health impacts involved in this investigation. Now, they're all brought together, as well as with representatives of the intelligence agencies, to update everyone on the investigation and where the investigation will be looking over the next few days, to make sure that all of the government departments are working together and helping each other. They wouldn't be drawn on what was discussed, although I understand they were given very detailed specifics about the investigation so far. But the Home Secretary did give us this update.
This is likely to be a lengthy and ongoing process. We need to make sure that the police and the other services have the space to continue that investigation. We need to keep a cool head and make sure that we collect all the evidence we can. And we need to make sure that we respond not to rumour, but to all the evidence that they collect. And then we will need to decide what action to take.
Now, after that meeting, I was at a briefing with the Prime Minister's official spokesman. He would not be drawn on whether ministers and investigators knew what the exact substance was, but he also wouldn't deny that they knew. All we've been told is that it was some sort of nerve agents that pose a very low risk to public health. Now, the Prime Minister updated the House of Commons at lunchtime today as part of her weekly Prime Minister's questions. There were also tributes to the emergency service workers from the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn. Let's have a little listen.
And to pay tribute to the work of all the emergency services who responded at the scene. The police investigation is ongoing. Yesterday afternoon, I chaired a meeting of the National Security Council where we were updated on that investigation.
I think we all thank the emergency and security services for their response, and we await updates on the progress of investigations into the cause of that incident.
Representing a South West constituency, can I align my remarks with those of my right honourable friend? The incident in Salisbury has clearly caused great concern across the South West and across the country.
There is clearly a lot of concern, as you can see, amongst government and also members of Parliament here. Now, the Home Secretary was repeatedly asked earlier on whether there are any former Russian agents that she believes could also be at risk. She wouldn't give a specific example, but did stress that all action is being taken to make sure all of us are being kept safe. You may remember last night I suggested the government really has a diplomatic fine line to toe in being aggressive towards Russia, but also understanding that Russia may not be involved. I think a day on, it's more like a tightrope the government is walking tonight.
David, thank you.
Well, just 7 miles away from Salisbury is Porton Down, where the testing on that nerve agent has been carried out. From there, Sally Simmons sent this.
Well, this site is infamous for carrying out nerve gas experiments on humans over decades. But today it specialises in defence research, much of it top secret. It's here that samples of Ebola have been sent. It's here that samples of sarin from Syria have been analysed. And it's here that samples were sent from Sergei Skripal. And today it's been confirmed that it is a nerve agent. These pictures from Porton Down's own archives show tests of deadly agents just after World War II. The site was set up in 1916 when our soldiers died from gas attacks. And laboratories here have handled the world's most deadly chemical and biological agents ever since. The Defence Science and Technology Laboratory at Porton Down has been examining samples from Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia, testing for trace amounts of chemicals. When Alexander Litvinenko was poisoned in 2006 in a hotel in Mayfair, it took 3 weeks to work out what the substance was. Geiger counters failed to pick up radioactivity, although the fact that his hair fell out strongly suggested radiation. Samples were sent to the Atomic Weapons Establishment at Aldermaston in Berkshire. There, alpha rays, stopped by skin, undetectable by Geiger counters, were found to match polonium. Only a microscopic amount was used.
You only need a tiny amount to be poisoned. The amount of polonium discovered in his blood was 26 micrograms, that's a millionth of a gram, and that was enough to kill him.
It's the combined effort of our doctors, public health, and the expertise in our research laboratories that means we are among the best in the world at solving these mysteries. 3,000 scientists work on this site and will carry on their work over the next few days.
Well, let's speak to a toxicology expert, Professor Alastair Hay, in our ITV Leeds studio. Professor Hay, thanks for joining us. Now, Porton Down has been at the centre of the testing of this substance. What kind of tests will they have been carrying out?
Well, Porton Down is set up to carry out tests specifically on chemical warfare agents, but it has the capability of testing for a wide range of substances. It has state-of-the-art equipment. It is world-renowned for its quality because it's involved in so many quality control exercises with other countries. So anything that comes out of the laboratory, you can be fairly certain that it's correct.
How good is the UK in this particular field? I mean, are we at the top of our game?
Well, we certainly are. The UK has been instrumental in developing tests for biological fluids. Quite a lot of chemical warfare testing has been done in the past on soil samples, on scrapings from munitions and the like. But the UK has been leading the field in developing the testing of biological fluids, which is exactly what you want in a situation like this. So they're adept at testing blood, saliva, urine, and looking for all sorts of chemicals or toxins.
We've seen lots of people in protective clothing on the streets of Salisbury. What will they have been doing?
I think they're just wearing it as a precaution, and that's sensible.
And just speculate for me, if you will, does this, as far as you're concerned, has the hand of Russia on it?
I think it's too early to say whose hand may be on it. It's premature to blame anybody at this stage.
Professor Hay, thanks for talking to us.
You're welcome.
Well, this story has been all over the media here, leading bulletins and on the front pages of the papers. But what about in Russia?
Yes, are they as interested in this too? Well, let's find out from Moscow. ITV's Carl Dinnan has sent this.
As far as ordinary Russians are concerned, this is not a story they've been hearing a great deal about in the national media. What little coverage there has been really has focused on what is seen as the demonization of Russia by the British media and sources in Britain who are pointing the finger at the Russian regime for this attack. Today, the spokeswoman for the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said this was a continuation of that program of demonization. Opinion here is divided. There are those who believe that the Russian state could have had some involvement in this attack. There are others who think that Russia is never involved in this kind of illegal activity. And then I think in the centre ground, there are those who believe that although it is possible, it's hard to see a clear motive for the Russian authorities, given that this was a man who was held in prison and was pardoned and released. It's not at all clear that the Russians would now have decided that they want to go after him, all of which, of course, points to the absence of clear facts in this case.
Carl Dinnan there reporting in Moscow. More on this story, of course, in the national news and our late news this evening. You are watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Still to come.
Could you be her litter hero? The campaign to find people willing to roll up their sleeves and get dirty to help keep Britain tidy.
For more on all of our stories, head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, call us 0808 1010 095 or get in touch via Facebook or send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
Hundreds of rail passengers stranded overnight on trains because of last week's snow will receive a minimum of £100 compensation. It follows calls from the official passenger watchdog Transport Focus. South Western Railway passengers spent hours on trains, unable to draw power from frozen tracks.
Investigations continue into a major fire in Dorset. Crews have spent a second day at the empty warehouse in Blandford that was once a brewery. The fire broke out yesterday and 60 firefighters were tackling the blaze at its height.
The I360 in Brighton has been told it can no longer describe itself as the world's tallest moving observation tower. The advertising watchdog said the claim was misleading because other towers with moving platforms were taller. Bosses at the I360 said its claim was based on the definition of measuring a specified distance from top to bottom. Now, have you ever felt cheated when buying concert tickets from secondary websites after discovering that the final cost is much more than the price originally quoted once the hidden fees are added?
Well, the advertising watchdog today announced a clampdown on the 4 main secondary ticketing websites, banning their misleading pricing information.
Our reporter Chloe Keedy has been investigating these sites since last year. As she now reports, in future the price you first see should be the price you pay.
When the Rolling Stones go on tour, tickets sell out within minutes. For many, the only way to get hold of them is to pay over the odds on resale sites. Claire Deniford-Smith was prepared to do exactly that to get to their upcoming tour, but nothing prepared her for the final cost.
Went to the Viagogo site, bought the tickets at what I thought was £135 each for general admission standing. Wasn't until I came to check out and click pay that I was faced with a load of charges that weren't made clear to me beforehand, and ended up checking out at €599. So it was a bit of a shock.
The Advertising Standards Authority has today clamped down on the 4 main secondary ticketing websites, banning them from hiding booking fees until the end of the sale.
The price that we see for tickets on these sites when we first decide on which tickets we want to buy should be the price that we pay at the end. It's incredibly frustrating when we get to the end of the customer journey and booking fees and VAT are added on and we've got no choice but to pay them.
Fans who use these sites report having very similar experiences. I've spoken to dozens of people who say they used them believing that they were the official ticket sellers after they came top of their Google search. This Facebook group is called Victims of Viagogo. It's got more than 5,000 members and counting. The ASA has today banned Viagogo from claiming to be the official ticket site on Google and from misleadingly suggesting that fans who bought tickets from them would be guaranteed entry to an event. Some artists, including Mumford & Sons, have asked their fans not to use resale sites, saying secondary ticket sellers made more money than the band itself on one of their recent tours.
Fans will just get annoyed with the whole business of the thing and feel like, well, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm having to spend way over the odds. I think the long-term effects for the business are potentially really damaging.
Viagogo didn't respond to our request for a comment. StubHub and Ticketmaster, which owns Seatwave and Get Me In, said they welcome the ruling and will work with the ASA to further improve standards. For music fans, today's ruling is a step in the right direction. The ASA now has the difficult job of enforcing it. Chloe Keedy, ITV News.
Well, next night, the call for thousands of people across the south to join a national campaign and help clear litter and rubbish from our local area.
Keep Britain Tidy is hoping 400,000 people will join their spring clean push, which is running until the end of the month.
Figures show 1 in 5 people admit to readily littering without any thought for the environment. Matt Price reports on one campaigner working to rid the waterways of rubbish and how some of our waste is helping to power thousands of homes.
A snapshot of Grot Spot, Britain. ITV News pictures showing rubbish dumped high, blighting our towns, cities and countryside. This fly tipping is an extreme example maybe, but it clearly shows how litter and waste can create a blot on our landscape. Campaigner Lizzie Carr is on a plastic patrol. She spends her weekends paddleboarding across the waterways, picking litter from our rivers and canals. And it's an issue affecting the whole country.
There's a correlation between being in bigger cities and towns and the amount of litter and rubbish that you see, but if it's flowing, moving water, then that obviously carries it further and further afield into rural places, and eventually it flows out into the oceans. The sad thing is that nothing really surprises me on the waterways anymore. I've paddled so much and picked up so much litter that, even the most ridiculous and bizarre things you kind of start to expect.
Clearing litter is an expensive business. It's estimated to cost councils and landowners in England around £1 billion each year to keep where we live clean. The most littered items include cigarette ends, sweet wrappers, along with empty bottles and cans. But only 1 in 5 people will admit to dropping litter.
I feel like when you just see mess, you just feel like it's appropriate.
Out of convenience, because I don't see a litter box nearby.
I've done it. I regret it now. I shouldn't have done it.
At this aquarium, they're supporting the Spring Clean campaign. This plastic tank shows what waste and litter can do to our seas. One study claims 90% of marine life have some form of plastic in their stomachs. More worryingly, perhaps, it's estimated by 2050 there'll be more plastic than fish in the sea.
There are turtles out there eating carrier bags. So that's having a direct consequence. There are plastic wrappings that are strangling sharks, for example. So anything we can do to reduce that is just making positive steps.
The UK produces over 200 million tonnes of waste every year. But across the country, there are schemes making use of what we throw away. At this waste-to-energy plant, they burn tons of rubbish every year, which would otherwise end up in landfill.
We produce electricity out of the waste instead of then using fossil fuels like coal or gas or oil. So we're making something useful out of the waste, which otherwise would end up in a landfill.
When waste is sent here, it's burnt at an extremely high temperature. The heat boils water and creates steam. That is then pushed onto a turbine, which is used to create electricity for thousands of homes. Keep Britain Tidy hope 400,000 people will get outdoors and join in the campaign, clearing up the rubbish that lies around us. Lizzie is already doing her bit and would encourage others to get involved. For her, it's too good an opportunity to waste. Matt Price, ITV News.
No rubbish here. Andrew Pate has your sport. And Andy, Oxford United still managerless at the moment.
Yeah, not long now, we think. Oxford are likely to name their new manager in the next few days. And a footballing superstar is among the favourites. Former Ajax, Barcelona and Holland striker Patrick Kluivert now leading the betting. The bookmakers are backing the Dutchman, with former Oxford players Brian McDermott and Steve McLaren also in the running. Reading missed the chance to climb the table last night after being held at home by fellow strugglers Bolton. It means the Royals are just 5 points clear of the relegation zone, despite taking the lead against Phil Parkinson's men. A fine solo run and finish from Mo Barra appeared to set them on their way. But Bolton boss Parkinson, who played over 350 games for Reading, saw his side equalise through another former Royal, Adam Lafondra. Now, Bradley Lowry was a 6-year-old lad who passed away last year due to cancer. His idol was England striker Jermaine Defoe, who played for the team Bradley supported, Sunderland. Now, a group of football fans are walking from Jermaine's new club, AFC Bournemouth, up to Sunderland to raise money for the Bradley Lowry Foundation. Martin Dowse has more.
Little Bradley Lowry's body may have eventually succumbed to cancer, but his spirit never did. And neither did the inspiration which he left as his legacy. He developed a particularly strong bond with Premier League striker Jermaine Defoe, then with Sunderland, now with the Cherries.
It's amazing. I mean, for a little kid, age of 6, to sort of like inspire the whole nation, really. Not only the nation, the world, I would say, because I was getting messages from people like in Australia and stuff like that. And despite all the stuff that he was going through, he was always seemed to crack that little smile. I'd walk out the change rooms and where's Brad? And then it would be beside me and stuff like that. Then obviously he walked out with me for England when I got back in the squad, which was really special. And yeah, it was a regular thing. Towards the end it was difficult for him because he couldn't walk, when he was in a lot of pain, and I sort of like, he still wanted to go to the game, so I'd carry him out.
At Bournemouth's Vitality Stadium, Jermaine met the football fans, some Sunderland, some Newcastle, rivalries put to one side, who are about to embark on a 330-mile walk from here to Sunderland, all for the Bradley Lowry Foundation to help other children facing cancer.
We're under no illusions of the enormity of that particular task, but we've planned it. It's meticulously planned. We sort of, we understood that, Bradley suffered for years, for a long time. We're going to suffer for 10 days. So at the end of the day, this is what it's about. You've got to think about why we're doing it, and you're going to go and do something for charity. You're not going to do something that's easy. Why would you?
He captured everybody's heart. It didn't matter what football team you support, where you're from. I plead and beg with anybody who's watching, please just donate to help the foundation, help all the children that need it.
I mean, when you look at your life and you do realise how lucky you are, just getting up every morning, just knowing that you're healthy, because you look at people like Brad's, and not only Bradley, the other kids that are actually going through the same thing, the other families and stuff, and it's really difficult.
Final good luck handshakes and they were off, with their support wagon leading the way. Apparently there's the odd pub stop planned along the way, but they should arrive on Tyne and Wear, blistered, aching and footsore in 10 days' time. Martin Dowse, ITV News.
Bradley Lowry, what a star.
A star indeed, and so too are the charity walkers. Good luck to them. Thank you, Andrew, very much. OK, let's take a look at the weather now. Becky Manson.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Meridian weather.
Hello there, very good evening to you. I hope you've had a lovely day. A mixture of sunny spells and showers across our part of the world. And tomorrow's forecast is easy because it's more of the same. Still quite an unsettled sort of story. And generally speaking, over the next few days, certainly by the time we get to the end of the weekend, it'll start to feel quite a lot milder. Let's get the detail then. Low pressure is firmly in control of our weather at the moment, so it really is back to business as usual. We've got this fairly active system that sweeps across southern parts of the UK overnight. That is going to give a spell of rain for a time, so quite a soaking on the ground by the time we get to tomorrow morning, but it clears off the scene quite quickly, as I say, to leave sunny spells and showers in its wake. Now, if we look ahead to the detail for this evening, you can see we start on a relatively dry note, just a few bits and bobs of showery stuff bouncing around. And then there's that more active system that sweeps across our part of the world in the early hours, giving us soaking on the ground for many by the time we get to the morning. But as I say, it's a fairly rapidly moving affair. So by the time we get to the early part of tomorrow, that system's well out of the way and leaves us with a largely dry, if rather showery sort of story. Temperature staying up at around 3 to 5 degrees. Quite a keen wind, though. You'll definitely notice that towards the south coast. Then we look ahead to tomorrow, and it's not looking too bad. As I say, more of the same. Sunny spells and a few showers rattling through, but the showers shouldn't really amount to too much. And as I say, we should be seeing plenty of brightness in there as well. We've still got that fairly keen wind, though, towards the south, as you can see, which will take the edge of those temperatures of just 8 or 9 degrees. But further inland, I think it'll be a bit more sheltered and feel very spring-like in that sunshine. As I say, though, turning much milder generally over the next few days. Have a lovely evening. See you later.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Meridian weather.
In just a moment, the ITV Evening News Hour continues with Mary Nightingale.
Sangeeta's got outlet news, but for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.